There is a peculiar stillness that can settle over a life, a quiet hum just beneath the surface of things, a sensation you might not even register until someone points to it. It's not the stillness of peace, not precisely. It's closer to the stillness of a pond that has been undisturbed for a very long time, its surface a perfect, unbroken mirror reflecting only the sky, with everything beneath held suspended, unseen. Perhaps you know this feeling. It arrives as a barely perceptible tension in the shoulders, a slight bracing in the stomach when the phone rings from an unfamiliar number. It's the way your breath might catch, just for a moment, before smoothing itself out, when a spontaneous invitation comes your way, an unexpected suggestion that promises disruption to the carefully calibrated rhythm of your days. It's the subtle relief you feel when those plans, the ones that hinted at something new or slightly challenging, gently fall through, allowing you to retreat back into the predictable comfort of your own making. You find yourself drawn to the familiar, not out of a lack of imagination, but from something deeper, something like a quiet gravity. The same coffee shop, the same route home, the same well-worn chair. There is a deep, almost physical comfort in the known, in the absence of surprise. And if, in those moments of quiet solitude, a flicker of longing surfaces, a whispered wish for something more vibrant, more expansive, it is often quickly quelled, gently ushered back into the shadows by a deeper, more insistent voice that prioritizes calm, that prioritizes the steady thrum of things exactly as they are. This pattern, this gentle drawing back from the edges of experience, is often seen from the outside and given names that feel both true and yet profoundly incomplete. People might describe you as reserved, perhaps a little cautious. They might say you're sensible, practical, someone with a clear head who avoids unnecessary drama. They might even admire your apparent contentment, your quiet self-sufficiency. Well-meaning friends might suggest you simply need to put yourself out there, to take more risks, to just see what happens. They might offer advice, earnest and heartfelt, about stepping outside your comfort zone, about embracing novelty, about the joys of the unexpected. And you listen, you nod, you even agree in principle. Because on some level, a part of you knows they aren't entirely wrong. But their words, while kind, feel a little like trying to explain the intricacies of a deep ocean current by pointing at the ripples on the surface. They see the calm, but they miss the profound, almost unconscious architecture beneath it, the invisible scaffolding that holds that stillness in place. They perceive a choice where for you it feels more like a default, a deeply ingrained operating system. What they often don't see, what perhaps you don't fully see yourself, is that this tendency isn't merely a personality trait or a simple preference. It is something far more intricate, more deeply woven into the very fabric of your being. It is an intricate, sophisticated strategy, a masterpiece of self-preservation that, in its silent mastery, has created a particular kind of sanctuary. But within this sanctuary, within this meticulously constructed sense of peace, lies a hidden danger, a quiet cost that accrues so subtly, so imperceptibly, that it can often go entirely unexamined for decades. We are talking about the hidden danger of feeling too safe. This isn't about physical safety, not in the obvious sense. It's about a deeper, more insidious form of insulation. It's about a nervous system that has learned to prioritize a particular kind of calm above all else, often at the expense of vitality, growth, and the rich, messy fullness of being truly alive. To understand this, we must look not just at what you do, but at how your internal world is organized, at the very blueprint of your being. Imagine, for a moment, your nervous system as a highly sophisticated, exquisitely sensitive radar. Its primary job, above all else, is to scan the environment for cues of safety and danger, constantly calibrating your internal state to meet the demands of the world around you. This is the work of the vagus nerve, a remarkable conduit that connects your brain to almost every major organ, quietly whispering messages about your environment. When your world is consistently challenging, unpredictable, or even subtly threatening, this radar becomes incredibly finely tuned to detect the slightest tremor of potential peril. But something equally profound happens when your world becomes too consistently safe, too predictable, too devoid of genuine novelty or mild, manageable challenge. When the nervous system no longer encounters the ordinary, everyday friction of life, the minor disappointments, the small acts of courage, the gentle stretches beyond what is known. It can subtly shift into a state of chronic vigilance that paradoxically feels like safety. The amygdala, that ancient alarm bell in your brain, remains on a low simmer, ever ready to detect even the faintest deviation from the expected. It's not sounding a full-blown siren, but rather a quiet, insistent hum that says, "Stay here. Don't venture too far. This is where you know how to survive." This isn't the peace of true ease. It's the quiet of a system holding its breath, anticipating that any deviation from the status quo might bring something overwhelming. This is where the science of avoidance learning offers a quiet illumination. Every time you successfully avoid a perceived discomfort, a difficult conversation, a new experience, a challenging task, your brain registers it as a victory. It learns that retreating, that staying small, that maintaining the familiar is the most effective path to safety. And neural pathways, like well-worn paths through a forest, become deeper, easier to traverse. The brain, in its efficiency, simply reinforces what works. The problem is, what works for short-term survival can, over time, become a profound limitation to long-term flourishing. Neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to adapt and change, works both ways. If the environment consistently lacks genuine challenge, novel experiences, or the requirement to adapt, the very pathways associated with exploration, resilience, and genuine connection can begin to atrophy. It's not that they disappear, but they become less accessible, harder to activate. The comfort zone, then, becomes less of a temporary refuge and more of a deeply etched groove, a familiar current that pulls you back towards itself, even when your deeper self yearns for a different shore. And dopamine, that crucial neurotransmitter often associated with pleasure, is more accurately understood as the molecule of motivation and seeking. It rewards the pursuit, the engagement with novelty, the gentle stretch towards a goal. When life becomes too predictable, when the challenges are too few, the dopamine system can subtly dull. New experiences, rather than feeling exciting or rewarding, begin to feel like an insurmountable effort. The world outside the familiar window might seem bright, but also vaguely overwhelming, demanding an energy you feel you don't quite possess. The absence of the seeking behavior, the quiet dulling of that drive to explore, is one of the most insidious costs of this particular kind of safety. It's not a lack of desire, perhaps, but a profound internal resistance to the effort required to pursue it. This complex strategy, this profound instinct to remain in the safe and known, does not arrive unbidden or as a random choice. It is, in almost every instance, a deeply intelligent adaptation, a brilliant solution forged in the crucible of early experience. It began not as a character flaw, but as a small child solving a massive, overwhelming problem with the only tools available to them. Perhaps the world you first encountered was subtly unpredictable, not necessarily overtly traumatic, but perhaps inconsistent. A caregiver whose presence or emotional availability shifted without warning. A home environment where big emotions, your own, or those of others, were met with discomfort, withdrawal, or even quiet disapproval. Maybe expressing a need, a genuine desire, or even an authentic burst of joy, was met not with mirroring and acceptance, but with a subtle tightening, a pulling back, a quiet sigh from the adults around you. In such a world, a child learns with exquisite precision that the safest path is to stay small, to not make waves, to anticipate and avoid any potential disruption. If expressing your true self led to a feeling of disconnection or even mild rebuke, then the brilliant, adaptive brain of a child would quickly learn. Self-containment is the ultimate safety mechanism. The most reliable way to maintain connection, or at least avoid rejection, was to become easy, to be undemanding, to conform to an invisible expectation of quietude. You learn to be the child who didn't cry too loudly, who didn't ask for too much, who didn't stir the waters. And this was not a moral failing. It was a profound act of self-preservation, a testament to your innate capacity to adapt and survive. Your nervous system, in those formative years, learned that the external world was a place that required careful navigation, a place where genuine spontaneity could be risky. It built a finely tuned radar for potential pitfalls, for subtle shifts in mood, for any sign that the delicate balance of your world might be disrupted. And it learned that you were the primary architect of your own safety, by controlling your impulses, by managing your expressions, by maintaining a careful distance from anything that felt too raw, too intense, or too uncertain. This was not a choice you made consciously. It was a lesson your entire being absorbed deep into the marrow of your bones. This strategy worked, kept you safe, kept you in some profound way connected. It is crucial to understand that this way of being, this meticulous cultivation of a particular kind of safety, is not inherently wrong. It is simply a way of moving through the world, one among many. There are those who thrive on chaos, who seek the edges of experience, who feel most alive when everything is in flux. And then there is you, with your finely tuned radar, your preference for calm, your deep appreciation for predictability. Neither is better or worse. They are simply different strategies, different temperaments, each with their own unique strengths and their own quiet costs. Your capacity for thoughtful observation, for careful planning, for anticipating potential issues, is immense. You possess a quiet resilience, an ability to weather internal storms with a self-contained strength that others might lack. This path has fostered a deep inner world, a rich landscape of reflection and introspection that can be a source of profound wisdom. There is a deep, often unacknowledged value in being a steady presence, in bringing a sense of calm to situations that might otherwise unravel. You are reliable. You are often the calm in someone else's storm. And these are not small things. Yet there is a cost, a quiet ache that sometimes surfaces in the solitude of the night, a yearning for something more, something that feels just out of reach. It is the frustration of feeling stuck, even when there is no obvious external barrier. It is the sense that life is happening around you, vibrant and unpredictable, while you remain just slightly apart, observing rather than fully participating. It is the quiet constriction of possibility, the unseen boundaries that have been erected, not by others, but by the very system designed to protect you. There is a profound loneliness that can settle in, even when surrounded by people, because the deepest parts of you, the parts that yearn for genuine expression and authentic connection, have learned to stay guarded, to stay hidden behind the fortress of your own making. The very thing that has kept you safe has also, subtly, kept you from the kind of expansive, messy, breathtaking engagement with life that your soul might secretly crave. Here, then, is the paradox, the unexpected layer that often remains unexplored. The very pursuit of ultimate safety can, over time, prevent a deeper, more fundamental safety from emerging. The safety you have cultivated, the absence of disruption, the predictability, the controlled environment, is a fragile kind of safety. It relies on a constant, often exhausting, effort to keep the world at bay, to prevent any uncomfortable ripple from disturbing the surface. True safety, the kind that allows for genuine expansion and vitality, is not found in the absence of discomfort, but in the profound inner knowing that you possess the capacity to handle discomfort, to navigate uncertainty, to recover from minor challenges, and to adapt when life inevitably throws you off course. If your nervous system is never given the opportunity to experience manageable doses of mild stress, of novelty, of slight discomfort, and then to successfully integrate and recover from those experiences, it remains fragile, perpetually on guard against what it perceives as overwhelming. The fortress becomes less a place of refuge and more a prison, however gilded. The quiet cost of absolute predictability is that it starves your system of the very novelty and adaptation it needs to remain robust and flexible. The brain needs new information, new experiences, new connections to stay vital, to keep its neural pathways open and flowing. When everything is known, when there are no new problems to solve, no new landscapes to navigate, a subtle stagnation can set in. The illusion of control, of being able to manage all variables, is a seductive one. But real safety often emerges from a gentle surrender of some control, from learning to trust life's currents, and, most importantly, from trusting your own profound capacity to respond, even when the path ahead is unseen. The most dangerous place to be, paradoxically, is sometimes where nothing ever changes. Because change, even gentle change, is the very essence of life. And while the body and mind might yearn for the stillness of perfect safety, there is a deeper part of you, a profound, quiet voice within, that yearns for expansion, for genuine expression, for the full, vibrant spectrum of human experience. This yearning is often a silent battle, a gentle but persistent call against the very safety you have so painstakingly constructed. It is the quiet terror that one day, the fortress might not feel like a sanctuary at all, but a tomb. And so, here we are, not to condemn this intricate strategy, not to demand its dismantling, but simply to witness it, to finally see it for what it is, a brilliant, adaptive, deeply human response to a world that once felt, in some profound way, unsafe. The relief that washes over you, perhaps, is the simple understanding that this isn't a personal failing, not a flaw in your character, but an ingenious, deeply ingrained strategy that once served you well. It makes sense. The pieces connect. The quiet hum, the subtle pulling back, the comfort in the known, all of it now carries a different kind of meaning. This awareness, this gentle seeing, is not a call to immediate action. It is, instead, an invitation to exhale, to allow the tension that has held you in its subtle grip to soften, just a fraction. There is no need to fix something that was never broken, but rather to finally know it. To understand its origins, its subtle workings, its profound intelligence. The very act of truly seeing, truly acknowledging this part of yourself, begins a different kind of process. It creates a tiny crack in the fortress, not to destroy it, but to let in a sliver of light, a whisper of air that carries with it the scent of possibility. There is a profound gratitude due to the part of you that sought safety, that worked tirelessly to protect you. It did its job admirably. It ensured your survival. And now, perhaps, that protective part can be gently invited to understand that the world might be a little different now. That you are a little different now. That the longing for more is not a sign of ingratitude for the safety you have known, but a natural, beautiful human impulse. A quiet stirring of the soul that seeks to experience the full breadth of its own potential. The journey of understanding oneself is long and intricate, a vast, unfolding tapestry woven with threads of shadow and light. This is just one thread, one quiet illumination. There is no urgency in this exploration, only an invitation to keep listening, to keep observing. Perhaps, in the quiet moments of your days, you might begin to notice how this protective mechanism manifests. Not with judgment, but with gentle curiosity. Perhaps, one day, you might gently test the edges of the familiar, not with force or self-reproach, but with tenderness, like dipping a toe into cool water, simply to feel its temperature. The conversation continues within you always. There is always more to discover, more to understand, more to integrate. And in that continued, gentle exploration, a different kind of safety might slowly begin to emerge. A safety rooted not in avoidance, but in presence. A safety born of knowing that whatever life brings, whatever uncertainties may arise, you possess within you the profound capacity to meet it. To not just survive, but to truly be alive, in all its messy, unpredictable, breathtaking fullness. This fullness is not a destination achieved but a constant unfolding, a dance between what is and what we perceive it to be. It requires us to gently dismantle the illusion that safety lies solely in predictability, in the carefully constructed walls that keep discomfort at bay. True safety, the kind we are speaking of, invites us to lean into the unpredictable, to find our footing not on solid ground, but on the shifting sands of existence, trusting the strength of our own legs, the resilience of our own spirit. Consider for a moment the profound difference between a life lived in constant avoidance of pain and a life lived with the capacity to meet pain, to feel it, to learn from it, and eventually to integrate it without being consumed by it. The former is a life perpetually trying to outrun a shadow. The latter is a life that turns to face the shadow, understanding that even in darkness, there is texture, depth, and ultimately, a path to light. This isn't a call to seek out suffering, but rather an acknowledgement that suffering is an undeniable thread in the tapestry of human experience. When we build our inner landscape with the resources to navigate these inevitable storms, we are no longer at the mercy of external conditions. Our sense of security becomes an internal compass, unwavering even when the world around us is in flux. This internal compass is honed through repeated, gentle acts of self-trust. It begins with acknowledging the fear that arises when we consider stepping outside our comfort zone. That fear is not an enemy to be vanquished, but a messenger carrying information. It whispers of old wounds, of past hurts, of perceived threats that, in another time, might have been very real. Our task is not to silence the messenger, but to listen with discernment. Is this fear a genuine warning of present danger, or is it an echo from the past, amplified by our protective mechanisms? Often it is the latter. And in recognizing this, we create a tiny space, a micro-moment of choice, between the automatic reaction and a more conscious response. In that space, we can choose curiosity over condemnation. We can ask, what is this fear trying to protect me from right now? Is that protection still necessary in this precise moment? This inquiry is not about judging the fear as irrational or weak, but about understanding its origins and its current relevance. It's about updating our internal operating system, letting go of outdated programs that no longer serve our highest good. Imagine a child who once burned their hand on a hot stove. For years, they might approach all stoves with extreme caution. As an adult, they learn to cook safely, understanding heat and its properties. The memory of the burn remains, a reminder to be mindful, but it no longer dictates an absolute avoidance. Similarly, our past experiences shape our protective mechanisms, but with gentle awareness, we can evolve beyond their absolute control. This evolution is not a sudden revolution, but a gradual, organic process. It is built brick by brick, moment by moment. Each time you choose to feel a difficult emotion rather than push it away, you strengthen your capacity for presence. Each time you lean into a conversation that feels vulnerable, you expand your emotional range. Each time you try something new, despite the internal resistance, you teach your system that unfamiliarity does not equate to danger. These are not grand heroic feats, but quiet, internal victories. They are the subtle shifts that accumulate over time, slowly rewiring your nervous system to perceive the world not as a minefield to be navigated with extreme caution, but as a dynamic landscape filled with both challenges and opportunities, all of which you are increasingly equipped to meet. The depth of this capacity is truly astonishing once you begin to tap into it. It's the wellspring of true resilience, not just the ability to bounce back, but the ability to grow through adversity, to find meaning in struggle, and to emerge not unscathed, but enriched. It allows for a profound sense of self-acceptance, embracing all parts of yourself, the strong and the vulnerable, the brave and the fearful, the joyful and the sorrowful. Because when you can meet everything within yourself with compassion, you can meet everything life brings with a similar, open-hearted presence. You are no longer fragmented, trying to hide certain aspects of your being, but whole, integrated, and authentically yourself. This integration is a continuous dance between acceptance and growth. Acceptance of what is right now with all its imperfections and challenges. And growth, the gentle pushing of boundaries, the expansion into new possibilities. It's like a tree, deeply rooted in the earth, acceptance of self, yet constantly reaching for the sky, shedding old leaves and growing new branches, growth and expansion. The tree doesn't judge its falling leaves, nor does it resist the wind. It simply stands, resilient and alive, absorbing what it needs, releasing what no longer serves, and continuing its journey of growth through all seasons. What does it mean, then, to truly be alive in all its messy, unpredictable, breathtaking fullness? It means embracing the paradoxes of existence. It means knowing that joy can coexist with sorrow, that strength can be found in vulnerability, that peace can be cultivated amidst chaos. It means allowing yourself to feel the sting of disappointment without it shattering your core, to experience the thrill of success without attaching your entire worth to it. It means understanding that life is a series of waves, some gentle, some crashing, and that your true power lies not in controlling the waves, but in learning to surf. This surfing requires a particular kind of attunement, an attunement to your inner landscape, to the subtle signals of your body, to the whispers of your intuition. When you are truly present, you begin to notice the nuances. You feel the initial flutter of anxiety before it escalates into a panic. You recognize the faint spark of inspiration before it fades. You sense the gentle nudge of your inner wisdom guiding you towards a particular choice. These subtle cues are often drowned out by the noise of our busy minds, by the constant stream of external demands, or by the habitual patterns of avoidance. But as you cultivate presence, these signals become clearer, serving as invaluable guides. Imagine for a moment a life where you are not constantly reacting, but consciously responding, where you are not driven by unconscious fears, but guided by an awakened awareness. This is not a utopian fantasy, but an attainable reality, built through consistent, gentle practice. It's the practice of pausing before reacting, the practice of breathing deeply when tension arises, the practice of bringing mindful attention to mundane tasks, the practice of observing your thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky. Each of these small acts chips away at the old programming, reinforcing the new pathways of presence and conscious choice. The journey of understanding and integrating these concepts is deeply personal, unfolding at its own unique pace for each individual. There is no blueprint, no checklist to complete, only an ongoing invitation to explore your own inner world with ever-increasing tenderness and curiosity. Perhaps you will begin by simply noticing where your protective mechanisms show up in your daily interactions. Is it a tendency to over-explain, to withdraw, to criticize yourself or others, to always seek control, to avoid conflict at all costs? Simply observing without judgment is the first powerful step. It's like turning on a light in a dimly lit room. You don't necessarily change anything immediately, but you gain clarity. You begin to see what is truly there. And as you see, you begin to understand. You might realize that the impulse to over-explain stems from a deep-seated fear of being misunderstood or judged, a leftover echo from childhood experiences, or that the tendency to withdraw is a protective shield against perceived rejection. This understanding, born of gentle observation, creates empathy for yourself. You see these mechanisms not as flaws, but as intelligent, albeit sometimes outdated, strategies your system developed to keep you safe. With this empathy, the harsh self-criticism often associated with these behaviors begins to soften. You can say to yourself, "Ah, I see you," fear of judgment. You're trying to help, but perhaps there's another way now. This shift from self-criticism to self-compassion is absolutely vital. It is the fertile ground upon which true change can grow. For too long, many of us have been taught that to improve we must be hard on ourselves, that discipline requires harshness. But consider this, when a child is learning to walk, do we scold them for falling? Or do we offer a gentle hand, encouragement, and understanding? We extend patience and kindness. And yet, when we ourselves stumble on our own inner journey, we often default to harsh self-judgment. To truly integrate this new way of being, we must extend that same patience and kindness to ourselves. When you notice an old protective pattern resurface, meet it not with frustration, but with a gentle sigh and a quiet reassurance. It's okay. This is part of the process. I'm learning. This practice of self-compassion is not passive self-indulgence. It is an active, courageous choice. It is the choice to nurture yourself, to provide yourself with the inner resources you need to continue the journey. It is the understanding that you are doing the best you can with the tools you have, and that as you acquire new tools like presence, awareness, and self-compassion, your capacity to meet life expands exponentially. It allows you to move forward not from a place of self-reproach, but from a place of deep self-respect and self-love. The implications of this shift are profound, rippling outwards into every aspect of your life. When you are rooted in this internal safety, your relationships transform. You are able to show up more authentically, less driven by the need for approval or validation, and more capable of genuine connection. You can listen more deeply, speak your truth more clearly, and navigate conflict with greater wisdom and grace. Your work life becomes more fulfilling, as you are able to engage with challenges not as threats, but as opportunities for growth and contribution. Your creative spirit is unleashed, as the fear of failure lessens its grip. Your physical health often improves, as the chronic stress of avoidance and internal conflict begins to dissipate. This is not a promise of an always easy life, free from struggle or discomfort. That would be an unrealistic fantasy. Instead, it is a promise of a life lived with greater freedom, greater agency, and greater depth, regardless of external circumstances. It is the freedom to choose your response, the agency to shape your experience, and the depth to find meaning in every moment, even the difficult ones. It is the understanding that true peace is not the absence of storm, but the ability to find calm within the storm. Consider the metaphor of a ship at sea. A ship designed only for calm waters is easily capsized by a strong gale. But a well-built ship, with a strong hull, a deep keel, and a skilled captain, can weather the most tempestuous storms. It might be battered, it might take on water, but it holds its course, knowing its destination, trusting its own structural integrity. This internal capacity, this profound safety rooted in presence, is that strong hull and deep keel. You become the skilled captain of your own inner vessel, navigating the vast and often unpredictable ocean of life with courage and wisdom. This process is not linear. There will be moments when old patterns resurface with surprising intensity. You might find yourself reverting to familiar protective behaviors, feeling frustrated or discouraged. This is precisely when the practice of self-compassion becomes most crucial. Instead of falling into the trap of self-judgment, simply observe. Ah, here it is again. This old familiar fear/pattern is trying to get my attention. And then gently bring yourself back to the present moment. Take a breath. Remind yourself of your capacity. Re-engage with curiosity. Each time you do this, you reinforce the new pathway, making it a little stronger, a little more accessible. It's like clearing a path through a dense forest. The first few times, it's hard work, but with repeated use, it becomes a well-worn trail. The beauty of this journey is that it never truly ends. There is always more to discover, more to understand, more to integrate. Life, in its infinite complexity, will continue to present new challenges, new opportunities for growth, new facets of yourself to explore. But the fundamental shift is that you are no longer approaching these experiences from a place of fear or avoidance, but from a place of profound inner resourcefulness. You are no longer merely surviving. You are truly living, engaging with the world with an open heart and a resilient spirit. This ongoing exploration is not about achieving perfection, but about embracing the beautiful, imperfect process of being human. It's about cultivating a relationship with yourself that is characterized by kindness, understanding, and unwavering support. It's about recognizing that you are inherently worthy, inherently capable, and inherently complete, exactly as you are in this very moment. And from that foundation of self-acceptance, you can then gently and courageously step into the ever-unfolding adventure of life, knowing that whatever comes your way, you possess within you the profound capacity to meet it. This capacity isn't something external you need to acquire. It's something inherent that you rediscover. It's like finding a hidden treasure map within yourself, leading you back to the vast, rich landscape of your own being. The journey itself becomes the reward, filled with moments of profound insight, quiet peace, and exhilarating expansion. You learn to trust not just your mind, but your body, your emotions, your intuition, a holistic intelligence that guides you with far greater accuracy than any external rulebook ever could. So, continue to listen, continue to observe, continue to gently test the edges of the familiar, not with the intention of forcing a different outcome, but with the intention of understanding. Understand the intricate dance of your own protective mechanisms, the subtle ways fear can masquerade as caution, and the profound liberation that comes from choosing presence over avoidance. This conversation is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is an invitation to embody a different way of being, to live from a place of genuine inner freedom. And as you embark on this continued, gentle exploration, a different kind of safety will indeed emerge. A safety rooted not in control, but in trust. Not in certainty, but in adaptability. Not in the absence of challenges, but in the unwavering presence of your own inner strength and wisdom. This is the safety of truly being alive, in all its breathtaking, messy, magnificent fullness. It is the safety of knowing you are home, not in a physical place, but within yourself always. And from this home, You can venture out into the world, embracing every experience, every connection, every moment with an open heart and an unshakable spirit, ready for whatever the unfolding journey of life may bring. The profound beauty of this journey is that it leads you not to an endpoint, but to an ever-deepening appreciation of the endless possibilities of your own existence. An ever-deepening appreciation of the endless possibilities of your own existence. It is a journey where you gradually shed the layers of what you thought you were supposed to be, or what others expected you to be, revealing the luminous truth of who you are. This shedding is not a loss, but a liberation. It allows for a fluidity of being, an openness to evolution that transcends rigid definitions and self-imposed limitations. You discover that your identity is not a fixed monument, but a living, breathing river, constantly moving, shaping, and nourishing the landscape of your life. And in this flow, there is immense power. This power is not about dominance or control over external circumstances, but about mastery of your inner landscape. It is the power to choose your response, to cultivate compassion for yourself and others, and to align your actions with your deepest values, even when the path is uncertain or challenging. When you are rooted in this inner home, fear does not vanish entirely, for fear is a natural human emotion, a primal alarm system. But its grip loosens. It transforms from a paralyzing force into a signal, an indicator to be acknowledged, understood, and then gently guided. You learn to walk alongside your fears, rather than letting them lead you astray, recognizing that often, on the other side of what frightens you, lies growth, expansion, and profound discovery. The journey invites you to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, the exhilaration of joy, the quietude of peace, the intensity of sorrow, the discomfort of anger, the ache of longing. Each emotion, each experience, becomes a teacher, offering insights into the intricate tapestry of your inner world. There is no need to judge or suppress these natural currents. Instead, you learn to observe them with a gentle curiosity, allowing them to move through you without defining you. This radical acceptance of your own emotional landscape is a cornerstone of inner freedom, for it dissolves the internal struggle that often consumes so much energy. Imagine the vast reserves of energy you reclaim when you stop fighting parts of yourself, when you embrace your own humanity in its entirety. This reclaimed energy becomes fuel for creation, for connection, for living with a vibrancy that resonates outward. From this place of wholeness, your relationships transform. You cease to seek validation or completion from others, because you are already complete within yourself. Instead, you engage from a place of abundance, offering your authentic presence, your genuine empathy, your unique gifts, not out of need, but out of an overflowing well of self-love. This fosters relationships built on mutual respect, deep understanding, and shared growth, where vulnerability is seen not as a weakness, but as a bridge to true intimacy. You learn to hold space for others, just as you have learned to hold space for yourself, allowing them the freedom to be fully themselves without judgment or expectation. The world, with all its complexities and contradictions, begins to appear not as a threat, but as an intricate dance of life, in which you are an active, conscious participant. You become more attuned to the subtle beauty around you, the shifting light of dawn, the resilience of a tiny sprout pushing through concrete, the laughter of a child, the quiet strength in another's gaze. Your senses awaken, your heart opens wider, and you experience moments of profound connection, not just with other people, but with the natural world, with the rhythm of existence itself. This heightened awareness brings a sense of wonder and gratitude, transforming even mundane tasks into opportunities for mindful engagement. And as you continue to walk this path, you realize that the journey is not linear. There will be seasons of expansive growth and seasons of quiet introspection. There will be moments of doubt and moments of crystalline clarity. The beauty lies in trusting the rhythm, in knowing that every phase serves a purpose, guiding you deeper into the understanding of your own being. When challenges arise, as they inevitably will, you find yourself approaching them with a newfound resilience. Instead of being derailed, you discover an inner compass that helps you navigate the storm, drawing upon the resources of wisdom and strength you have cultivated within. Each challenge becomes not an obstacle, but an invitation to practice, to deepen your trust in yourself, and to discover capabilities you never knew you possessed. This is the ever-unfolding artistry of an authentically lived life. It is not about reaching a static state of enlightenment, but about becoming a perpetual student of your own unfolding existence. It is about the courage to be imperfect, to stumble, to learn, to rise again, each time with a little more grace, a little more self-compassion. It is about understanding that true strength lies not in never falling, but in always getting back up, guided by that unwavering inner light. This continuous process of becoming is where the true joy resides, in the dynamic dance between stillness and movement, between solitude and connection, between the known and the eternally mysterious. Ultimately, this profound journey leads you to a state of being where you are not merely surviving, but truly thriving. You are not waiting for happiness to arrive from external circumstances, but cultivating it from within, an inexhaustible wellspring that accompanies you wherever you go. You carry your home within your heart, a sanctuary of peace and unwavering presence that is accessible at any moment. This inner sanctuary empowers you to engage with the world with genuine curiosity, heartfelt compassion, and unshakable courage, knowing that you are fully equipped to meet whatever life presents. It allows you to embrace your unique purpose, not as a burden, but as a joyful expression of your authentic self, contributing your light to the collective tapestry of humanity. The legacy you create is not just in what you achieve, but in who you become, a beacon of conscious living, a testament to the transformative power of self-discovery, and an inspiration to all who encounter the quiet radiance of your fully awakened spirit. This is the magnificent culmination, not of an end, but of an eternal beginning, where every breath is a celebration of the miracle of your own boundless existence.